Today, I am going to show you exactly how drinking water at the right times can stop your blood pressure from swinging up and down throughout the day. Many seniors struggle with dizziness or sudden spikes because they are hydrating the wrong way, which leads to unnecessary health scares. It is often unclear why your numbers will not stay steady even when you are taking your medications exactly as prescribed by your cardiologist. I have seen thousands of patients find immediate stability just by adjusting their daily water habits to match their body's changing needs. I remember a woman named Margaret who was 68 years old and felt constant lightheadedness every time she stood up from her favorite recliner. She was following the standard advice to drink 8 glasses of water a day, but her symptoms were actually getting worse because of her specific timing and temperature choices. You might feel worried that your heart is failing or that your kidneys are struggling when the real issue is simply a lack of proper fluid management. Your doctor might have been giving you general advice for years that does not account for how a senior body processes fluids compared to a younger person. Before we dive in, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what your blood pressure numbers usually are during your morning check. I want to hear your experience. One simple change you can make today is to ensure you are drinking room temperature water instead of ice-cold beverages to prevent sudden vascular shock. When you consume very cold water, your internal blood vessels may constrict rapidly as a response to the temperature drop, which can cause a temporary but sharp rise in your systolic pressure. For an older adult, the blood vessels are often less elastic than they used to be, meaning they do not bounce back from these temperature shocks as easily as they did in their 30s. Keeping your water at a neutral temperature allows your circulatory system to remain calm and prevents the physical stress that often accompanies a cold drink on an empty stomach. Arthur was a 67-year-old man who came to see me because he experienced a strange sense of dizziness every time he finished his morning glass of ice water. He thought he was doing the right thing by staying hydrated, but his habit of keeping a pitcher in the coldest part of the refrigerator was causing his blood pressure to spike and then dip rapidly. Once Arthur switched to keeping his water sitting on the counter at room temperature, those dizzy spells disappeared within 48 hours and his numbers became much more predictable. His story is very common because many people assume that the colder the water is, the more refreshing and beneficial it must be for their internal organs. The reason room temperature water works better for blood pressure management is tied to how your nervous system reacts to thermal stimuli. When your esophagus and stomach are suddenly cooled, it can trigger a mild fight or flight response in the body, which naturally tightens the arterial walls to preserve core heat. By drinking water that is closer to your natural body temperature, you avoid this reflex entirely and allow the fluid to be absorbed into your bloodstream much more efficiently. This supports a steady volume of blood without forcing the heart to work harder to overcome the resistance of constricted vessels. To implement this habit, start by filling a dedicated glass or stainless steel carafe with filtered water before you go to bed each night. Leave this container on your kitchen counter or your nightstand so that by the time you wake up, it has reached the ideal ambient temperature for your body. If you prefer the taste of chilled water, try to only take small sips rather than full gulps, or better yet, slowly transition to lukewarm water over a period of 1 week. You will likely find that your stomach feels less bloated and your circulation feels more consistent throughout the morning hours. This simple adjustment is easy on the joints and can be done by anyone at home without any special equipment. Using room temperature water supports steadier readings throughout the day. Another helpful step is to prioritize drinking 16 ounces of water immediately upon waking up before you consume any coffee or tea. As we age, our bodies naturally lose a significant amount of hydration overnight through breathing and perspiration, which causes the blood to become slightly thicker and more viscous by the time the sun comes up. Thick blood requires more pressure to move through the narrow vessels of the brain and extremities, which is why many seniors experience their highest blood pressure readings in the early morning. By thinning the blood with fresh water first thing, you provide a natural lubricant for your entire cardiovascular system. Beatrice was 72 years old and was very frustrated because her morning spikes were so high that her doctor wanted to increase her medication dosage significantly. She loved her morning routine of drinking 2 large cups of black coffee as soon as she got out of bed, but she never drank water until lunch. When she began drinking 2 full glasses of room temperature water before her first sip of coffee, her morning systolic pressure dropped by nearly 15 points on average. This change allowed her to stay on her current medication level without needing the stronger dose that she had been dreading for months. Please take a moment to subscribe for more simple senior health tips like these that help you stay in control. Recent studies have revealed that proper morning hydration can significantly reduce the risk of cardiovascular events in adults over 60 by maintaining optimal blood viscosity. These studies show that when the body is even mildly dehydrated, the concentration of salt in the blood rises, which signals the body to tighten the blood vessels to maintain pressure. By intervening with water as soon as you wake up, you interrupt this dehydration signal and tell your body that it is safe to keep the vessels relaxed and open. This is a very effective same-day lever that you can use to see real results in your daily log almost immediately. To do this correctly, keep a measured 16-ounce bottle or glass next to your bed and make it a rule that you cannot leave the bedroom until it is finished. Do not worry about rushing to drink it all in 1 second. Taking a few minutes to finish the glass while you stretch or plan your day is perfectly fine. The key is to ensure the water enters your system before the caffeine from your coffee begins to stimulate your heart rate and act as a diuretic. Most older adults can try this safely and will notice that they feel more alert and less foggy in the early hours of the day. Consistent morning hydration is a foundational habit for long-term blood pressure health. One more easy change is to adopt the steady sip method rather than chugging large amounts of water all at once to maintain blood volume. When you chug a large bottle of water, your kidneys receive a sudden signal that there is an excess of fluid in the system, which often triggers a rapid flush of that water through urination. This creates a roller coaster effect, where your blood volume increases sharply for a few minutes and then drops just as quickly, leading to fluctuations in your blood pressure readings. By taking small, frequent sips throughout the day, you allow your body to maintain a very narrow and stable range of hydration. Victor was 69 years old and lived a very active life, but he struggled with feeling bloated and then suddenly exhausted by the middle of the afternoon. He had a habit of waiting until he was thirsty and then drinking an entire quart of water in one sitting, which he thought was the most efficient way to stay hydrated. However, his blood pressure monitor showed that his numbers were jumping up by 10 points after he drank and then crashing down below his target range an hour later. Once Victor started carrying a small bottle and taking just 2 or 3 sips every 20 minutes, his energy levels leveled out and his blood pressure remained within a healthy, steady window. This method works because it mirrors the way the human body was designed to process nutrients and fluids in a steady, continuous stream. When you provide small amounts of water consistently, the sensors in your heart and large arteries do not feel the need to overreact to a sudden change in pressure. It keeps the pipes of your circulatory system full enough to function, but not so full that they become strained or stressed by the volume. This is especially important for seniors who may have underlying heart conditions or mild kidney decline, as it prevents the organs from being overwhelmed by a sudden deluge of liquid. To practice the steady sip method, try setting a small timer on your watch or phone for every 30 minutes as a gentle reminder to take a drink. You do not need a large amount. Just a few swallows are enough to keep your system primed and your blood flowing smoothly without causing frequent trips to the bathroom. If you are away from home, always keep a small, lightweight bottle in your bag or car so that you are never tempted to go hours without water only to chug it later. This approach is very easy on the joints and the bladder, making it a preferred strategy for many active seniors. This method supports steadier readings and more consistent energy. It is also vital to understand the measurement rule regarding how to hydrate specifically so that you can get accurate home blood pressure readings. Many seniors get false high or false low readings because they have either just finished a large drink or have gone too long without any fluids before sitting down with their cuff. If you are dehydrated when you take your blood pressure, your heart might be beating faster to compensate for the low volume, which can lead to an inaccurately high reading. Conversely, if you just drank a large amount of water, your blood volume is temporarily peaked, which might also skew the data you are giving to your doctor. Dorothy was 80 years old and was very diligent about tracking her numbers, but she was frustrated because her readings seemed to have no rhyme or reason. She would be perfect one day and dangerously high the next, despite making no changes to her diet or her physical activity. Upon closer inspection, we realized Dorothy was taking her readings at different times in relation to her water intake, sometimes right after a big glass of tea, and sometimes after working in the garden without drinking anything. Once she established a routine of drinking a small glass of water 30 minutes before her rest period, her readings became remarkably consistent and showed her true baseline. To get the most accurate reading at home, you must follow a specific hydration and preparation routine every single time you use your blood pressure cuff. First, ensure you have had a small amount of water about 30 to 45 minutes prior so that your body is not in a state of thirst stress. Before you place the cuff on your arm, sit quietly in a chair with your back supported and your feet flat on the floor for at least 5 full minutes. Make sure your arm is at heart level and that you are using a cuff that is the correct size for your bicep, as a cuff that is too small will always give a falsely high number. Do not talk or look at your phone during this time, and try to take 3 separate readings about 1 minute apart, then average the last 2 for the most reliable data. By keeping your hydration consistent before these tests, you ensure that the variations you see are caused by your health and not by how much you chose to drink that morning. This creates a data set that your doctor can actually use to make informed decisions about your care. Most older adults find that having a structured routine like this reduces the anxiety that often comes with home monitoring. This supports more accurate data and better health outcomes. When you are managing blood pressure, you should be cautious about drinking large amounts of water too close to your scheduled medication time unless your doctor has specifically instructed you to do so. Some blood pressure medications, particularly diuretics or water pills, are designed to help your body shed excess salt and fluid. If you drink an excessive amount of water at the exact same moment you take these pills, you might be working against the medication's primary goal, which can lead to unnecessary strain on your system. It is usually best to take your medication with a standard 4 to 6 ounces of water and then resume your steady sipping schedule about 30 minutes later. Another important aspect of using water as a lever for blood pressure is to pay attention to the minerals that are already present in your local supply. Recent studies have mentioned that the hardness of water, which refers to the level of minerals like calcium and magnesium, can actually have a protective effect on the cardiovascular system. If you use a heavy-duty water softener in your home, you might be removing these beneficial minerals and replacing them with small amounts of sodium, which is generally not ideal for someone managing high blood pressure. Checking your home water system or using a simple charcoal filter can help you get the benefits of hydration without the hidden salts. One more thing to consider is how your posture while drinking can even influence your immediate comfort and blood pressure response. Many seniors find that sitting down to enjoy their water, rather than drinking while standing or walking, allows their body to stay in a more relaxed state. Standing requires your muscles to work and your heart to pump against gravity, which can slightly elevate your baseline numbers. Taking a water break as a literal break where you sit and breathe deeply for a minute or two can serve as a powerful stress reduction technique. This combination of hydration and a calming routine is a highly effective same-day lever for stabilizing your numbers. As you continue through your day, remember that water is not just a beverage, it is a vital tool that helps your blood vessels stay elastic and your heart stay calm. By following these first 4 rules, using room temperature water, hydrating immediately upon waking, sipping steadily, and timing your intake for accurate measurements, you are already ahead of most people your age. These habits do not require a prescription or an expensive gym membership. They only require a small amount of mindfulness and a commitment to your own well-being. Keeping your hydration consistent helps prevent the dramatic dips and spikes that can make life over 60 feel so uncertain. If you know someone over 50 who could benefit from this, please share this video with them so they can start feeling better too. Please subscribe for more simple blood pressure and senior health tips as we move forward with this journey. Stay tuned as we prepare to cover the final 4 items in the next session, focusing on meal timing and nighttime balance, Another helpful step is to implement the meal timing rule, which involves drinking a glass of water 30 minutes before your meals to prevent the sudden blood pressure drops that many seniors experience after eating. This condition is often referred to by medical professionals as postprandial hypotension, and it occurs because the body redirects a significant amount of blood flow to the digestive system to help process food. For an older adult, the heart and blood vessels sometimes struggle to compensate for this shift, leading to a dip in pressure that causes dizziness, falls, or even fainting. By drinking water before you sit down to eat, you slightly increase your blood volume in advance, providing a buffer that helps keep your overall pressure stable while your stomach goes to work. Leonard was a 74-year-old man who loved having a large lunch with his friends at the local senior center, but he began to notice that he felt incredibly faint about 20 minutes after finishing his meal. He was worried that his heart was becoming weak, and he had actually stopped going to these social lunches because he was afraid he would collapse in front of his peers. When we looked at his habits, we realized he rarely drank anything during the day until he had a large glass of sweetened tea with his meal. Once Leonard started drinking 8 to 10 ounces of plain, room-temperature water exactly 30 minutes before his lunch, his post-meal dizziness completely vanished. He was able to return to his social life with confidence because his blood pressure no longer crashed every time he digested a sandwich. This strategy works because the water you drink before the meal is absorbed relatively quickly, giving your circulatory system the extra fluid it needs to maintain pressure throughout the rest of your body. When the blood starts rushing toward your stomach and intestines to pick up nutrients, the extra volume you provided earlier ensures there is still enough blood reaching your brain and your limbs. This is a very gentle way to support your cardiovascular system without needing to change what you eat or take additional medications. It is especially useful for seniors who take blood pressure medication in the morning, as the effects of the medicine can sometimes peak right around lunchtime. To do this correctly, set a small kitchen timer or an alarm on your phone for 30 minutes before your planned mealtime. Use this as your cue to sit down and slowly drink one full glass of water, focusing on taking calm, steady sips rather than gulping it down. You should avoid drinking very large amounts of water during the meal itself, as too much liquid can dilute your stomach acids and slow down digestion, which might actually prolong the period of low blood pressure. Instead, rely on that pre-meal glass to do the heavy lifting for your circulation. Most older adults can try this safely, and it is a very easy habit to maintain whether you are eating at home or out at a restaurant. This simple timing adjustment supports steadier readings after you eat. Here is another simple habit to consider: focusing on natural electrolyte balance by adding simple, senior-safe minerals like cucumber or lemon to your water to improve how your body absorbs moisture. As we get older, the thirst mechanism in our brain becomes less sensitive, and our cells can sometimes have a harder time pulling water from the bloodstream into the tissues where it is needed most. If you drink plain water all day but still feel like your mouth is dry or your skin is parchment thin, you might be flushing the water through your system too fast without actually hydrating your cells. Adding a slice of cucumber or a small squeeze of fresh lemon provides trace amounts of minerals that act like a key, opening the door for water to enter your cells more effectively. Martha was 68 years old and was very proud of the fact that she drank nearly a gallon of water every day, yet she was constantly frustrated because her blood pressure remained unstable and she felt perpetually dehydrated. She often felt a racing heart sensation even though her doctor told her she was in good health. We discovered that because she was drinking so much plain distilled water, she was actually washing out the essential minerals her heart needed to maintain a steady rhythm. When Martha started adding a few slices of fresh cucumber and a tiny pinch of sea salt to her water carafe each morning, her dry feeling disappeared and her blood pressure numbers became much more consistent. She no longer felt the need to run to the bathroom every 30 minutes because her body was finally holding on to the hydration. Recent studies have revealed that cellular hydration is just as important as the total volume of fluid in your vessels when it comes to long-term blood pressure management. These studies show that when cells are properly hydrated with the help of natural electrolytes, the nervous system remains in a calm state, which prevents the release of stress hormones that can tighten your arteries. By using natural additions like lemon or cucumber, you are providing your body with a gentle source of potassium and magnesium, two minerals that are famous for their ability to help blood vessels relax. This is a much safer and more natural approach than using sugary sports drinks, which often contain far too much sodium and artificial dyes for a senior's needs. To implement this, simply slice up half a cucumber or a fresh lemon at the start of each day and place the slices into your water pitcher. You do not need to eat the fruit to get the benefits. The minerals will naturally infuse into the water over the course of an hour. If you find that citrus is too acidic for your stomach, stick with cucumber or even a few sprigs of fresh mint, which provides a cooling effect without the acid. This is easy on the joints and provides a refreshing taste that makes it easier to meet your daily hydration goals. Most seniors find that this small change makes water much more enjoyable to drink throughout the afternoon. This supports better absorption and more stable internal pressure. One more easy change is the bedtime balance method, which teaches you how to hydrate in the evening without ruining your sleep or causing nighttime blood pressure spikes. Many seniors make the mistake of stopping all water intake at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because they are afraid of having to get up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom. However, going for 12 or 14 hours without any fluid can cause your blood to become dangerously thick overnight, which often leads to a rebound spike in blood pressure while you are sleeping. The key is not to stop drinking, but to taper your intake so that you stay hydrated without overloading your bladder right before you hit the pillow. Howard was 71 years old and had been told by a friend that he should stop drinking all liquids after dinner to help him sleep through the night. He followed this advice strictly, but he started waking up with pounding headaches and a blood pressure reading that was significantly higher than his daytime average. His body was reacting to the severe dehydration of the night by constricting his vessels to keep his brain perfused with blood. Once Howard started having a small 4-ounce sip glass of water on his nightstand and drinking it slowly over the 2 hours before bed, his morning headaches vanished and his nighttime pressure readings leveled out. He still only had to get up once during the night, which was a small price to pay for the safety of his heart. This method works by maintaining a trickle of hydration that keeps your blood volume from dropping too low during the long hours of sleep. When you are horizontal, your kidneys actually work a bit more efficiently at filtering fluid, which is why the urge to urinate often increases when you lie down. By tapering your water, meaning you drink the most in the morning and less as the day goes on, you provide just enough fluid to keep the blood moving smoothly without creating a flood that wakes you up every hour. Keeping your blood pressure stable during the night is crucial because nighttime spikes are often more closely linked to heart health than daytime fluctuations. To practice the bedtime balance, try to finish your last large glass of water about 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. For the remaining 3 hours, only take small sips when you feel thirsty, using a very small glass so you aren't tempted to gulp. If you take medications at night, take them with just enough water to swallow comfortably rather than a full bottle. Also, try to limit caffeine and alcohol in the evening, as these act as diuretics and will force water out of your system much faster than plain water will. This approach is very easy for most older adults to try safely and can lead to much more restful sleep. This supports a calm cardiovascular system throughout the night. If you know someone over 50 who could benefit from this, share this video and subscribe for more simple blood pressure and senior health tips.